Hey Rowdy Coders! In my recent job switch, I have been interviewed at many companies. In this video, we'll be solving a question that was asked in HighRadius interview. So the interviewer asked me to create a calculator function using closures, and he actually shared this requirement, and he mentioned that this particular function should have an initial value of 10, and it should also provide two methods, addition and subtraction methods, whereas the addition method should increase the base value and the subtraction method should decrease the base value actually. So this is one of the most asked questions where the interview asks you to create calculator functions actually. And in other cases, the interview might ask you to create a calculator class. Why they might ask you to create class component means, they might want to test your knowledge in class components, because they might be using class components within their particular project. And to have an understanding whether you know class components or not, they might ask you these questions as well. So yeah, and I have been creating content on most asked interview questions. I have collected, I have given interviews and I have collected so many questions, and I'm continuously posting those questions in both of this particular YouTube channel and my Rowdy Coders official website as well. So here I have created this particular article, and I have placed where I have given proper understanding of closures and the code later on, and proper explanation. And yeah, you can feel free to look out these articles. I'll be providing the link to this particular article in the description, and you'll be able to find all of the mission coding questions over here. So this is the question that we are actually solving right now. So without wasting much time, let's start coding this particular question. Okay, so let me paste the requirements that the interview asked. Okay, so here we need to create a calculator function using closures. So let's understand what closures actually are, and then we'll be creating our calculator function. Let me create a function here to understand closures basically, where here this is an arrow function that I'm creating. Okay, and so here function along with its lexical scope is nothing but a closure. Okay, so what I meant is, let me create a object here. Okay, let's say user equals to, right, name Rowdy. Okay, and is equals to 25, let's say. Okay, now in this function what I'm doing is I'm kind of returning another function. Okay, and here I'll be kind of consoling console.log of user.name. I'll be consoling, let's say. Okay, so here what I'll do, I'll kind of call this function here. Okay, let's say uh, function equals to our closure. So here when I assign this particular closure function to this fun, whatever this particular closure function returns, that will be stored in our fun. Okay, and when I call this fun, this particular function will be executed, right? Here in this particular fun, all of this particular function will be stored, and when I call this function, this particular function will be executed, right? So when this particular function executes, ideally, if you see, only this function is present, and this function do not have user data within this function, right? But then what it does, it will check if user is present within this function or not. If it is not present, then it will look for this particular user in the higher scope, right? It will look for the user in the higher scope, which means outside this function it will look whether user is present or not. Yes, user is present, so this particular user will be picked from this outer scope, and it will kind of console. So here the console would be Rowdy. So let's frame our closures. Closures means a function along with its lexical scope is closure. And also let me show our article as well, where I have mentioned closure. Closure is formed when a function is defined within another function, okay, and has access to outer function variables actually. So here within function and have access to the variables outside the function. It's nothing but closure. And we need to create our calculator function using the similar kind of closure concept. Here, let me show the function that I have created here. So here I have created the similar function. I will try to put this code as well. And in this particular example, or in this particular YouTube tutorial, what we are going to do is will be kind of doing it in a little different way. Here we have our written statement. Within written statement we have our function here, and this particular function is having access to its outer variable. And also this is function, and this function outer variable is there. This is also a closure. Okay, in this particular tutorial we will be solving it a little different way than this way. Okay, so let me solve it. Okay, let me solve it a little different way. Here what I'll do, I'll just remove this particular stuff from here. Okay, and I would say calculator, and within this particular calculator, let's say I'll put this way. Okay, let me remove this. Within this particular calculator I'll have a base value. As for the interview, this would be, let's say, 10. Here we will have a method for addition. Okay, addition, which will add the numbers. Okay, and then the method for subtraction as well. Okay, subtraction. And what I would do means I would kind of return these two methods from here. Okay, I'll return these two methods from here. Okay, and when I call this particular calculator function, these two methods will be returned as an object. So here I will store this in my cal function, let's say. Okay, so here this cal function will return these two particular methods, and when this cal function is called with addition, right, addition, then this particular addition will be called. And when this particular cal function is called with subtract, then this particular method will be called. So now these two methods also works as a closure. So here this is the variable, and this is the function, and this variable is defined outside this function, so it acts as a closure, right? So similarly what I would do, I would kind of, while calling this addition function, let's say I'll call with 5. Let's say if I call, this particular 5 will be captured over here, right? Number will be captured here. This particular number will be added to my base value, and we'll be kind of reassigning our base value with the added number, right? So in that case the base value will be increased. And while calling the subtraction as well, whatever the increased value is there, on top of that we'll have our subtraction logic as well. So here what I'll do, while calling 5, what I will do means I'll kind of base value is equals to base value plus the number that I'm trying to add. And here this base value is a constant, so I'll put it as a let. Okay, and at the end let's say I'll console it. Okay, console.log of base value. Okay, so in the similar way what I will do for subtraction means I'll do the similar way where the number will be our number, and subtraction will be this way, and subtraction I'll do. Okay, now let's say I'll put 2 here. Let me execute it and see whether it is working properly or not. So here if you see, it is working as expected. On top of 10, a base value of 5 is added to Q15, and then on top of 15, the subtraction took place with 2, which gave 13. So yeah, it is working as expected, and this is a different kind of way to solve this particular function problem, and I have solved it a little differently over here. And feel free to pause the video and check the code for reference. And in cases, the interview might ask you to create a class component to achieve this particular calculator functionality. I have provided code over here for class component as well, so do check out this as well. This is also as important as the other two methods. And if you like the content, then please do subscribe to my channel, and it will definitely push me to create more such interview questions content, and I'll definitely keep this channel updated with more of these interview questions. Yeah, thank you guys.